I think when I was at the bottom of my career in academy, reflecting back on how I grew up and how my family's doing, definitely played a very key role in bringing myself up. I think, I have to do it for them. I have to provide for them and make sure they're also living comfortably, and they have no one else to fall back on. It's only me that they can rely on, and I want to help them, and I think that was a very big motivator for me as well to keep striving to be pro and to get back into the LCS.
I'm giving up on my expectations. Let them go and see where it takes us.
This is the first time I've ever talked about something like this. I've never vented to anyone. It's just always been bottled up. When I'm doing well, I'm really doing well, and I'm doing bad, I hold it in and don't vent basically to anyone, and then I'm gonna be playing worse, and definitely it's hard.
I just wanna wake up in the warmth of the sun and thank the gods for the gift.
My name is Juan Garcia. I'm the jungler for CLG, and some people know me as Contractz.
I don't wanna worry no more.
So I grew up in just like a single mom family. My dad passed away before I was born. Relied a lot on my mom and also my brother as well. My brother and my grandma. That's pretty much the kind of like the family that I grew up with. My mom always worked 2 to 3 jobs growing up to support us, make sure I could eat, I could live in a house, didn't have to worry about working another job. Just overall doing everything she can to support me and my brother.
I was 4 months pregnant with Juan when his dad was in a car accident and was killed by a drunk driver. Trying to raise 2 kids on my own with working 2 jobs, it was just hard.
So my mom's had a few jobs. She mainly worked as a waitress, and she also did an office job for a bit. She works at a bar with my grandma now.
My mom watched him while I worked during the day, and while she watched Juan, they played online PC games, hunt for the hidden objects or ABCs, or he used to just sit on her lap and just do it for hours. It was great.
It sounds funny, but the grandma was always on the computer playing solitaire and Mojang and all these marble games. She was the one that got me my first computer when I was younger. Getting home from school right away, I would go onto League. I would wake up early in the morning to watch LCS, watch Worlds. So I was definitely very dedicated, and it's always something that was floating in my mind when I started getting higher rank, but not something I was necessarily pursuing. It kind of felt like I got lucky in a sense.
C9 offered him this amazing contract to go down and live in the house. I was terrified. I'm like, who's gonna watch him? He doesn't know how to use an ATM card. He doesn't know how to do laundry. I still cook his dinners. What is he gonna do? So it was a big step for both of us. I remember him calling me from Santa Monica, doing FaceTime and showing me his washing machine, telling me which buttons he's supposed to press to do laundry. It was crazy. I was more concerned about school. I mean, I wanted him to go to college and do better than me working 2 jobs, trying to raise kids in a family. So I was really trying to push him to college, but so I let him go. I figured he had to follow his dreams. I mean, if I had one, I would hope my mom would let me go. So that's what I had in my head to do, let him do.
My mom was very supportive of letting me have hobbies and just playing games and enjoying what I do. Her letting me have this opportunity to even attempt to go pro, very grateful.
To start off, we've got Cloud9. They're welcoming in rookie jungler Contractz. He's looking to be that missing piece to get Cloud9 back to the very peak of the North American LCS.
He was just another young, talented, extremely mechanically proficient NA jungler, just wants to outplay everyone at every possible moment.
Here comes Contractz! And Contractz trying to turn around. Jensen does not Contractz! He's not going to flat Kickstarter into the Tara range! Woo! Just Phreak for the game over his knee, looking for number 5. Here comes the damage up, but he does! 5 solo kills for Contractz!
My rookie year was definitely expected for myself. I feel like that was like the expectations I had for myself at the time. I was a very confident young player.
Finds it, gets it! Oh my god, Contractz!
That was probably like the peak of my career where I was like the happiest and I was playing the best and, you know, I had everything set up for me.
Making it to finals for Contractz as a rookie, winning rookie of the split, that's a super impressive start to a career. It's shocking to think how good he was, to think he wasn't on that team again.
C9 became my home, you know. I was really happy there. You know, they were very supportive of me and, you know, my ideas and what I wanted to do. And unfortunately, I made some mistakes, made some hasty decisions, which led to me getting off of C9. I had a really good offer from C9 that I wasn't, you know, I just kept wanting more, you know. I was too greedy. And like I said, I was young, I wanted more, right? I made mistakes. My first year of LCS, I felt that peak, right? Like the top 8 at Worlds, you know? And that feeling is something many players don't get to experience. So just remembering back to that peak and how it felt to be there, I'm just trying to get back to that point. I definitely took a lot for granted, at least from when I was on C9. Once I got into GGS, I lost it all. I was very quick to learn that I'm nowhere close to the top of the league and, you know, where I want to be. And I had much to learn.
Golden Guardians, by the numbers, one of the biggest failures of a roster that the LCS has ever seen. I don't think any team has ever gone 10th twice. You go from a second, almost first place team to 10th twice in a row to not even playing in the LCS. Like, Contractz goes on the roller coaster, and not the one you want when you're a professional player, right?
Putting myself in those circumstances is, as a young player, it's just really hard to deal with, especially when your team's not doing well, you're losing every scrim game, stage games aren't going well. It's definitely something that adds up over time and builds up a lot of mental stress. And I think at some point during those GGS years, I kind of just gave up on myself for a bit. Didn't put in much effort. Was kind of just going with the flow and really just driving by.
I've had back problems since 2006, and I fell at a job. It's just a really difficult situation for everybody, especially the kids, because I wasn't quite there as I should have been. My mom had to step in and take care of the kids a lot of the times. Pain, medication is just, it's hard. And people that don't go through it don't understand what it does. It grabs onto you, the medication does. And unfortunately, it did grab onto me. I wasn't present like I should have been. I just hope he understands that it wasn't something I chose to do, and I just love him, and I just hope the best for him, and I just miss him.
At the time, I was definitely, you know, angry, upset, frustrated, disappointed. It's just so hard for me to relate to, you know, being addicted to something like that. So that's why I was really frustrated and disappointed, because I just could never see myself in that kind of scenario. As time went on, and, you know, I'm 22 now, almost 23, I can definitely see where she's coming from, and, you know, and how much pain she was in, and, you know, she just didn't want to be in pain, right? That's all it is. And she's working 2 to 3 jobs, doesn't have enough money, you know, to pay for surgery, and, you know, I'm still getting new computers and just, you know, braces, etc. You're just never really having to worry about money myself. I think she buried it a lot in herself, and obviously that's what a parent wants to do, right? You don't want to make your kids worry or make them stress. You just want them to have, you know, a happy life, you know. So definitely as I grew older, I realized like how much she was doing for me and you know, how much she cared for me because of what she did. I was already on GGS at the time when I had this conversation with her. I had a talk with her about it, you know. She told me she's doing a lot better. You know, she's overcome it, and you know, I'm just happy that, you know, she's gotten to a point where you know, she's just living well, and you know, she doesn't need to rely on those things.
Every life situation, problem gives someone a little bit of a lesson, and I think me going through that situation and him and Juan seeing what happened with me, who wants to be in that situation? No one wants to be in a situation where they're struggling. And knowing that he fell off and he wasn't being thought of as one of the top, that it gave him an absolute motivation to keep on going.
Because I was contemplating just like not playing anymore, but kind of just told myself that, you know, I'm gonna give it another go. I'm gonna put in all the effort that I can to be the best and get back into LCS. And you know, that was kind of like the turning point in my career where it kind of clicked to me to where like I'm gonna put in the effort to, you know, be the best that I can be.
We have a new person coming into the EG lineup. Contractz swapping in for Svenskeren.
I subbed in for EG in 2021 summer. It was probably one of the most emotional games of my career. I think it was just really surprising to me to go against the first place team and, you know, perform with this much confidence. Like that game, for me, it felt like I was just in flow state.
Well, that looks risky. Moonfall pop, Contractz looking for the solo play! Finds a Contractz in the 1v3 outplay! Continues going again, look at that! Oh, that's so filthy!
Let's fucking go, boys! Oh, it feels good, man. And after the game, after we won, you just start getting emotional. I couldn't control it. I think I kind of backtracked. I'm like, wow, it's been like 2 years since I've been on stage. Had like a rough 2 years after I left C9, right? Sorry.
When he went to C9 and I saw him went to China, they did amazing. I knew it wouldn't stop for him. I absolutely knew that he was gonna be one of the best. I just felt it.
What a summer split so far by CLG. Into the wall. Well, Contractz wants it again, and he gets it. Contractz going in for another one. Contractz.
I'm changing my ways, and I don't want to do more.
Contractz is just an absolute hero for this squad.
You know, I'm excited. It's been a while since I've competed for, you know, a top spot. I mean, that's always the goal, for sure, when you're a pro league player, at least for me. I'm confident in myself, and that was always something that I wanted to achieve again, get back to finals, make it to playoffs, make a good run for Worlds. My mom's, you know, still very supportive, and definitely she was, you know, texting me congratulations and, you know, happy to see you back. And you know, whenever you get messages like those, it always hits a little bit different, you know. It always feels really good, and kind of your hard work is showing and it's paying off.
I'm just proud of him. It was a hard struggle growing up with him, being a single mom. And I'm just glad he's doing well.
She's the reason why I'm out here. A lot of my motivation and, you know, just drive comes from her.
I'm not gonna worry no more.
LCS has been around for 10 years. Can you believe that?
That's just insane.
It's been a wild ride.
Yeah.
I wonder what LCS will look like in another 10 years.
Y'all thinking what I'm thinking?
All right, let's get it.
Dash, get your own tube. This is like 2 hot dogs in the same bun.
Bonus dog. Just hit the button.
LCS has been around for 20 years. Can you believe that?
That's just insane.
Boring.
Yeah. You want to try another 10?
Yeah.
Oh! Chrome! That's it for the LCS Summer of Love. We'll catch you next week.
Nope.
Ooh, I'm riding with Raz this time. Let's go! You all right, Raz?
Let's go. You all right? Okay.
Whoa.
Whoa. 10,000 BC. Dash, your hair looks amazing.
Oh, you're right. Wow, it does.
Raz, you take a picture of the past?
Yeah, why not?
They haven't even discovered fire yet.
It's like baby pictures.
What? That was a whirlwind.
I swapped Caps and Pobo third birth.
What?
Oh, that's good.
How did I not notice that?
That's really good.
Dash, you got inked by a squid.
Oh my God, I forgot. I don't want to talk about that. I think I prefer to stay in 2022. You know what I mean? I like the now. It's been a great 10 years, everything that we've been a part of, and honestly, guys, it's just been so great to be a part of it with you too.
Thanks, man.
I forgot my phone back in 10,000 BC.
Raz, haven't you ever seen a movie?
My bad, guys.
The butterfly effect.
We're gonna have to go back and get it.
Our sport might not even exist now. Welcome back to the LCS and the LCS waiting room, where who knew the LCS had such a history that we haven't even explored just yet. Yeah, it's a rich history, a rich future, I guess, as well here at the LCS.
Earlier than time itself.
TL and CLG are the two teams taking to the stage today as we enter another week of 4 days of play. Best of fives across all of them for TL and CLG, though. It is do or die time. You either keep your tournament hopes alive here, or
we're the
say
TL
goodbye.
guys. They even show up.
Oh,
it's all CLG.
No, they were the early shots. The very first shot was CLG.
Oh, Phreak!
Phreak.
Yeah, Phreak is representing Team Liquid.
Phreak?
I didn't. I'm tripping.
He came with a whole damn pizza, by the way.
It's all right.
He came to the green room with a whole damn pizza.
He just walked in with a giant pizza.
Apparently there are food trucks. Us three missed them.
Yes. That's crazy.
We messed up. We messed up with the food earlier today, guys.
I like the catering. In case they're listening. I love the catering.
But I could have had a pizza.
You could have had a pizza.
Full pizza.
Missed opportunity, Raz. You can try again tomorrow. All right. Couple things to get through before we dive into the playoff action. Emotes have been enabled on the channel.
BTTV.
Let's go.
7TV.
It was a hard-fought battle.
Yeah, FFT.
One in which we finally won. And so to celebrate the addition of the emotes onto the LCS channel, we thought it'd be fun to kind of challenge each of the analysts themselves to go through and pick an emote that they felt most closely represented
Mark,
the teams playing today.
Mark.
So Mark is going to go first.
Okay, so Team Liquid is praised because they are just desperate to get through to Worlds. That is Steve. Every game, I imagine Steve in the back room just praying that the money that he threw at this roster gets him to Worlds. CLG, they're Monkasteer because they're just trying not to flip the vet. They play the early game like crazy.
Gotcha.
They're, you know, pedal to the metal, just trying not to kill themselves.
Yeah, they're not using the brakes to bring the car under control.
Brakes.
Yeah,
They're just trying not to flip it.
The VOD review. What's the solution here?
Somebody
We
cut
need to
those
go
brakes.
fast.
Yeah. Okay, I like it. By the way, for those of you in chat, please spam along with us. Let us know what you think. We're just kind of curious to see what other people might think are the right emotes for each of these teams. Who's next? I think Emily's next, I think, as far as I'm aware.
So, TL.
Oh no!
I think this is how people see TL, which is Bedge. Like, you heard that interview with Closer where he's like, oh yeah, we even beat them playing like their slow style game. Like, it's either that or like Resident Sleeper.
We sleep better than them.
I love Bedge. I feel like this is how people see TL. I don't actually think it's accurate because I think the early game is really good. And then
what is CLG not aware of?
The Pepe laugh for CLG.
They don't know. Hold it in. They don't know if Pepe laugh.
Mark, hold it in.
I get that.
I guess, yeah, my question is it CLG saying to the world they don't know, or is it us saying to CLG they don't know?
So I was going more off of regular season. So it's like, you know how many people put CLG 10th and CLG are just like, they don't know.
It is too perfect, actually. All right, Raz.
I love the idea of there's so much copium in the room that they truly don't know.
Raz goes a completely different direction.
Where's the
Have you seen CLG's giraffes? The amount of edginess in the Yone, the Akali, flipping and stuff. And then on top of that, the Seraphine. There is so much IAI in their drafts. That's number one. And then Team Liquid, yes. Just through A, how they draft, and B, how they play. There's the nice way of saying it, 5-head. There's the rude way of saying bench. Because they're all the same idea, basically. So, yeah, I thought that was great. I thought that was fantastic. And I hope that gets spanned, by the way, the CLG one, the moment we see any of the champions get locked in.
I mean, I kind of hope all of these get spammed, because I feel like they are all indicative of aspects of those teams' personalities or stories, right? And y'all kind of took a different angle or like a different thing to cherry pick about them. But there's also a good chance like all 6 of those things could appear in this game, right? We can see each version of TL. We can see each version of CLG.
They draft the Yone, you spam the IAI, the Yone lane early on, Monkus here.
Yeah, it's too good. All right, so there you have it. Emotes are enabled. Please use them.
Oh,
yes?
We also have an emote for the teams that couldn't make it to playoff.
Do we?
People leave. I'm just putting that out there.
People leave.
Too good, too good. All right, well, from there to a little bit of other business. A player who is both playing today, but also picked up the FTX Most Improved Player of the Year award is Contractz. Let's hear from him now.
Contractz has these games where he literally 1v9s, you know, surfing around the rift.
Are we doing most improved? If we are, then he wins. Congratulations.
Contractz, W up, instinct gonna be trapped. Contractz blasted on in. First blood. The double shuffle, that's gonna be a ton of crowd control. And Contractz is ready for him.
Contractz still has smite. If he gets over there, he can smite steal.
Wait, he can. He's gonna go in Q smite. Thank you very much.
Yoink! This kid has no fear. They've got a ward on closer. They see him.
Oh, he's gonna go for the knockup. Gets a bit of damage there. Ignite is on. First blood. Emily's wrong as well.
Abadaga, he's next.
W auto is gonna flash the wall. He knows not to. Contractz. It's gonna be a 3v2. Connor's gonna be safe. Body slam though, and he finds one. Takes the body. This is it. CLG are gonna get everything. Contractz coming in now, looking for Berserker and Sven. He gets the knockup. He gets the Q. He's going in for another one. Contractz made it look so simple.
Thank you, Dash. It is my pleasure to be joined by FTX Most Improved Player, CLG's very own Contractz. This was quite an honor for you to receive. What was your reaction upon receiving the news?
Definitely very, very happy I received this award. I kind of saw it coming a little bit, but it's kind of like a what's the word? A start of like a fresh start for me, kind of in my career, just because I've been through so many ups and downs recently, and it's kind of like a fresh start to where I can, this is like the start of my career again, and start of like something new and something great that I think that I can keep, driving for years to come.
In terms of that fresh start, it's great timing being that we just had that Drive episode that highlighted that journey that got you here. While it is kind of a blank slate in some ways, what are those pinpoints of your journey thus far that stand out most when you're thinking about what this award stands for?
I think for this award specifically, you kind of have to look at like my downs in my career. So basically when I'm dropping to Academy or I'm getting 10th place in LCS, and just moments like those, you look back on it and you're like, wow, I've come a long way right now. I'm in playoffs now. I have a good shot of going to Worlds and really making a name for myself. So definitely just very happy that I can prove people wrong.
In that journey through playoffs, going for that shot, this has been great watching you specifically since joining CLG, the journey with the team. In fact, CLG also receiving an award for the coaching staff. What specifically, when reflecting upon that, do you feel were your biggest takeaways working with this team in this journey of improvement?
Yeah, it was never like all good, like in spring we had a really rough start. I wasn't playing too well, so just a lot of perseverance and a lot of communication with each other and making sure we're on the same page to really make it so we're aligned on our goals and our visions. And I think like us not changing our roster like mid split or mid season, it was really important for us to keep growing and improving together. I think without that, then I wouldn't have had a chance to deserve and win this award.
And all of that comes into that focus with every match that you take on. You are going to be heading into this matchup against Team Liquid. Final thoughts on that regard?
I'm just here to have fun. Whatever the result is, I'm gonna go out there and I'm gonna try to play my best, and I'm gonna try to help my team play their best, and I'm excited.
We all look forward to watching your Contractz. Congratulations again on receiving this award.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Back to Dash in the waiting room.
Thank you so much, Tigris, and such a deserved award for Contractz. For those of you who are wondering, though, how you might find yourselves in a similar position to Contractz in the future, he's got some words of wisdom to share with you. When it came to his journey of becoming the most improved in the LCS, he had this to say: never stop giving up.
23-year-old
I just love the never like it was so funny. Dom immediately called him out.
I will continue to give up. So he obviously put in an addendum there. I think the tweet had gotten too much traction that he wasn't going to delete it and repost. Obviously, never give up is more what we mean there. But good on him, because I think his grit has shown through as he finds his way back into a 4th place regular split finish, fighting, for a world shot and possibly the trophy. Still here, got to get through Team Liquid today. That brings us to this comment from Thomas Baker off of the Twitter sphere. Best LCS playoffs ever? Crazy to think that EG or Team Liquid will miss Worlds. Also, what if CLG and TSM somehow both upset and they battle for the last spot? It's a good way for us to get into our bracket, Mark, and talk about the remaining scenarios here in the postseason.
Definitely going to ignore the second half of that for now.
For now.
Maybe entirely.
Yeah, okay. But I might want to talk about it.
It's interesting about if it's the best ever, just because the series themselves have been so close. There has not been a 3-0 yet.
That, to me, is the indicator that we're on track for what he's talking about.
Yeah, and a lot of 3-2s even there. So it's been a crazy ride. It does feel like you can't really take any assumptions, too hard.
Yeah, it's definitely the best start to that. If he's talking about best playoffs of all time, then I love the fact that there are, every series has been somewhat competitive. The least competitive you can say is the Team Liquid FlyQuest one, but at least FlyQuest started out with a banger, right? So like the solo kill, the eventual win, and then Team Liquid took over. So it's fun. But much like most things, you have to wait until it actually ends. Because if he is right, if this poster is correct, that TSM makes that run, and then it's TSM versus CLG, and then somehow the finals are going to be amazing, then yes, then I would agree with that. But we're on pace.
Even if TSM and CLG lose here, you get TLEG. Like, honestly, if the rest of the playoffs plays out to chalk, but they're close series, I actually think it's still a pretty spectacular poster.
Yeah, he brought that up in the beginning of the tweet too, where like it is true that one of EG or TL won't be making it.
Crazy.
I like Raz's point though, where the only series where we look at the scoreline and we're like, maybe this wasn't as close as it comes off of in the series itself, is that TL FlyQuest game, and even then they were able to take game 1. The most impressive thing to me is that you can have 3-1 series where it's like super one-sided. You can even have 3-2 series where it's super one-sided and like one team is just crushing the games that they win. These have been really close, really back and forth. I mean, it's kind of an AD carry team fight meta. So that has also been fun to watch.
And this is also why I love lower brackets, is because if there is an upset, that team gets a chance to really push themselves to get to the finals. And maybe they'll have a repeat match in the losers finals, right? So those type of things make it so at least the ending will be strong. Because all of this conversation kind of falls flat if it's a 3-0 finals. I don't want to manifest that, Dash.
Well, you did just put it out into the universe, so at least my sights are set on you for the blame.
Don't blame me.
If and when it does happen.
Mark, don't even think about making that video.
Out, like, already, we've had 3 series are technical upsets by the numbers, right? So that alone has been exciting. I think it points to, again, how, expectations all the way from pre-split to now, or even at the end of the regular season to now, have completely been turned upside down, and it really feels like it's anyone's game with the remaining teams. Speaking of which, Mark, I think it's important to talk about expectations for the 2 teams that are stepping onto stage today, because they are essentially as opposite as they can get.
Yeah, I mean, so this is all from the announcement of the Team Liquid roster way back at the start of spring. People are saying obvious split winner, super team. This was expected to go to Worlds, hands down, probably dominate the regular season. And because this was the expectation at the start of the split, the fact that things have not gone that way is crazy. And the community has very quickly changed, and there's so much pressure now on Team Liquid to actually step up. They're going into this with so much pressure.
Yeah, comparing these two teams, like Bjergsen had his own like photo day where like journalists were there, photographers
Bjergsen
were
day.
there. Yeah, like Travis did a whole interview with him. And then by contrast,
look at those idiots.
CLG announced their roster, and the only people who were happy are people who'd seen these players in Academy, right? Because they were like, oh, this is a fun roster to root for. There's a lot of like North American players on here that may have been passed over. They might have a chip on their shoulder, that kind of thing. And wow.
This is
impressive roster comparison.
It's hilarious. And so, yes, the idea that CLG were, as you can see here, a last place team.
That was perfectly placed.
There we go. Was a lot of our suggestions. I think Kobe was the one that was different, and his list was actually coagulated in the dive overall, and mine wasn't.
So they still landed 10th.
So they still landed 10th under those circumstances. I will say, started split. I said this was a regular season ranking, and I said even though Team Liquid would land first, I said C9 would win the finals. I said this clearly.
Yeah, I mean, these were
but I was still wrong.
They were regular season rankings, and we all had other teams actually winning the finals. But it is worth noting that everyone just thought Team Liquid would be great. For going into this specific matchup now, you have one team with all the pressure where if we don't go out there and win, we're getting roasted alive. Who knows who's going to have jobs next split? You know, like there's so much pressure where you might be playing for your livelihood. For CLG, they're already overperforming expectations. They can go into this matchup feeling so free and just play as aggressive as they want.
I mean, you want to talk about setting expectations. TL doubled down, right, in turning to the summer split, saying, hey, spring did not land. We recognize that spring did not land where the expectations were. We fell just short. This split, we will meet expectations. Like they did not want to let that go.
Even like a week or two ago, Steve did an interview where he was like showing off the Team Liquid facility and said like it's worlds or bust kind of. So they are still 100% in that mindset.
So there you have it. They got to get through this best of 5 and one more to at least lock that spot for World and have a shot at the title. Speaking to the CLG side of things, again, we've talked about how expectation, at least from outside the team, was that they would struggle and maybe at best break into the top 8. For the teams themselves, though, it was a little bit of a different story. Here's Dhokla.
I mean, I don't think all the teams are pretty good right now. I think we're pretty underrated, and I think we'll be top 5 and probably top 3 by the end of the split.
Top 3 by the end of the split. You're reaping. You're reaping. CLG top 3 at the end of the split, I'll eat my shoe.
I've never wanted CLG to win so badly.
I'm so sad they didn't make it top 3 just because I wanted to see how Doublelift was going to try to eat a shoe.
They still make it top 3.
Could still be top 3 postseason.
So does it count?
I don't know.
Does it count?
I mean,
is the thing like
we'll make it count.
I feel like it only counted for regular season. If I'm wrong, then
I don't know. And I'm not going to be the judge on that. But I think that again, the point is that this is just to showcase that even while the team themselves was being vocal, just like Team Liquid was, and I think this is the difference, right? Team Liquid was vocal about thinking and saying they plan to be the best, and so everyone was like, well, yeah, I agree, you should be, and everyone got on that train.
Yeah.
CLG was out there in week 1, week 2 saying we're definitely top 5, if not top 3, and everyone's like, I'm not so sure. And I think, again, it goes to highlight what was the perception of the players on each of the team and their individual ability, as well as our expectation of how they would ultimately mesh. They have far surpassed that.
Yeah, and I think the other cool thing is, like, obviously, TL built this roster to win NA and go to Worlds, right? Whereas CLG, before this year started, purged their entire organization, got this entire new team, didn't do as well as maybe they would have wanted, but set really appropriate expectations, I think, for the roster. Made one roster move going into summer, and it's just been really cool to see the players' confidence come out.
Yeah, and speaking of in summer, last time they played, it was this game where CLG cemented themselves in a lot of people's minds that they were legitimate because they took down Team Liquid. And the way they did it with Palafox taking Azir and just slamming Bjergsen in lane and then having monstrous team fights, made people realize this team is not a fluke, it's not a joke. They have the power to take down top teams when they're playing well, and this was the last time they played each other. They might be able to do the same thing again today.
Exactly. And that draft I really enjoyed. I think that was the predominant conversation, was not only did CLG outdraft them, but also just the flexibility of the teams, right? The Dhokla can come in with a wide variety of picks, take counter picks, stomp on that. Same can be said about the flexibility of I mean, I'm talking about Dhokla, but also Palafox, that they can pick up one and then deflect it. They didn't do it in that game, but they've done it throughout the regular season, and it's going to be really tough for teams to deal with them in this best of 5.
Well, not only that, but their bot lane, right? Like, we've talked so much about Luger being hyper carry, but then they've also played like the Seraphine or just Seraphine in general, flexing that. So it's the entire team.
Now, Palafox, who was integral to that victory there over Team Liquid, has been vocal about giving the young guns the recognition they deserve and starting to, you know, put some respect on their names. He's got some thoughts on his opponents as well today, though. Take a look.
Yeah, so TL, I think that, honestly, I think Bjergsen played like super well in the series against FlyQuest. So I'm interested to see how I match up against him now. It's going to be exciting. Other than that, I think that their other player that I usually would look out for the most is Bwipo, because he just does some random stuff sometimes, and when random stuff is happening in the game, you're usually not prepared for it, right? So I think that's like their second carry threat.
All right, so randomness is not something we can prepare for. Let's talk about maybe some things that we can prepare for, Raz. A general understanding of these teams' play styles and maybe the way that they'll approach this best of 5.
Exactly, so let's move up and talk about it. Because,
let's do it!
Boom. We'll start with CLG, the play styles that they have, the level 1s that they tend to go for. Now, this is not the level, this is just early game in your first clear. You're invading Golden Guardians. This is during the series, making River's life a hell. This is not the first invasion. This is the second one. Contract comes back, makes Ole's life hell, and it's not just him, it's the surrounding lanes that come out and help him. So when you're facing CLG, you have to be prepared in the early portions of the game because they have level 1s patted down and they have basically the first clear. So Contractz is meant to succeed. And you're seeing Palafox on his Akali pick be a real demon. So if we're just talking about playstyles where a lot of the meta is based on front-to-back team fighting, it's CLG that tries to flank you and try and dive into the back line.
And one thing that wasn't in those stats, but I still love tracking, is CLG's first blood timer, because they get in there and they get in there early. It actually increased to 3 minutes and 25 seconds. It was at one time all the way down to 3 minutes and 21 seconds.
Yes. So they're fast, they're loose, and a lot of that is something that the people love to see. Not only are they loving the fact that CLG is starting from the ground up, but also just the overall play style that they go for now.
Uncle Steer. All right, TL, let's go.
Roll the clip. For Team Liquid, they're still creative in different ways. So I'm looking at Bwipo here, and we all know that he can play Singed in certain specific matchups against Ornn. This one, he had a dominant set game where he was a counter pick into what we had offered here. What are you thinking, Mark?
I was trying to, they just took me off screen. My hand floated in to point down to the early game stats where you were talking about how good CLG was, but unfortunately, Team Liquid's #1 across the board right here.
Yep. Early game has just been so damn good for this team. And so, that's been the conversation. Last split, they were a late game centric team and tried to scale. This split, they actually changed that completely. And so now, what you're seeing here are specific picks that Team Liquid are good at. We're looking at the set prior. This one, we're seeing the Seraphine from Hansama that is shared, by the way, between both Team Liquid and CLG, and the Swain for Bjergsen. So not only is the Swain going to be a threat, the Zillion for sure is something that CLG has to account for. So there are clear stylistic differences between CLG and Team Liquid that both teams are aware of, and we have to be ready for.
These are going to be some wild drafts.
It's going to be great.
Yeah, some absolutely wild drafts. We saw before a number of teams their approach to CLG, right, at removing at least one piece of that Yone, Akali kind of combo. So a lot of people are going to be thinking about that. You already mentioned it, Swain, Zillion, the set. I do not know how you approach a champion select in this best of 5.
At least we know that CLG will try and play team fights a lot more, flexible, looking for flanks, all these type of things. And also the early game is going to be a focus on how they invade and put the enemy jungler, in this case Santorin, behind. Whereas Team Liquid are going to be a front-to-back type of team consistently. They really abide by the meta. The Azir first picks will be something they will say, where CLG will try and kind of bait out the Azir so they can play their Yone and Akali.
Yeah, I think both teams want to be super aggressive early. And the main difference, to your point, is that I see TL as definitely more of a full 5v5 team, where CLG are really good, especially in early to mid, in separating smaller skirmishes and picking people off.
Well, so then when we talk about full 5v5 team fighting, Mark, obviously your eyes start to drift down to the bot lane because those AD carries are going to become integral to the late game damage.
Yeah, I mean, it's not just these two teams. It's the entire worldwide meta right now. It revolves around the bot lane. And if you look at the stats between the regular season and what's taken over in the postseason, you see a dramatic jump in kill percent, damage percent. Gold is the least likely one that you're seeing as much of an increase to, but like overall, they are becoming so relevant to how you win in the mid to late game. And even when you're not on the hyper carries, if you're on the early game ones, you need resources to shut down the hyper carry. And even if you're in Seraphine, yeah, you're not getting a ton of resources, but you're critical for how your team's gonna play. So bot lane is kind of the driving force of what your drafts look like right now.
A 5% jump in damage percentage is actually a pretty astronomical number when you're talking about averages, right? Like that is huge. And I also love the CS post 15 because that is always an indicator of where teams are looking, right? Yeah, like where do we want to put our resources? And so again, good indicator that people are indexing more and more. Okay, let's talk a little bit about drafts. I know we've talked about the difficulty that either of these teams might have in identifying how to, you know, approach it or dismantle the opposing team.
I'm also gonna get.
But as Emily Rand is accustomed to doing, over to the three wall to break it down for us.
I pulled a few like red side drafts that I thought were kind of interesting. We talked about, this was when they saved the counter pick for Palafox. He picked Ahri, they hovered Lissandra in this draft. CLG are also a team who will play Karma with Poome in addition to the Zeri as their enchanter option if other enchanters are banned. The other thing I wanted to point out in this draft is they do ban the Zilean against Jensen. So Raz had identified that as a pick that they absolutely have to watch out for TL. I wanted this draft specifically because I do think it's something that CLG should keep in mind. They kept it in mind for Jensen. They'll probably keep it in mind for Bjergsen. So I'll pull up another cool TL draft, which also has to do with the footage that Raz pulled. Which is the Seraphine Nautilus, which I know Jatt was back here joking, like, who knew the Seraphine Nautilus is so powerful? But that was really fun. And then the other cool thing is the Bwipo set pickup, and perhaps most importantly, the Swain for Bjergsen. This was an anti-Vi comp. Whenever Vi is picked early, it's actually pretty easy to pull a bunch of stuff, like a giant death ball like this, to be able to counter her. I know James is smiling because he is very sick of seeing first pick Vi, despite the fact that she's really strong, because you can come out with a draft like this, where you can play very easily into her and really stop a lot of the dives that she wants.
No more Vi's ulting into team fights where a Swain is waiting for you. I love that you call out that the Zilean's already on the radar, because just referencing Inspired's interview after losing to C9, he had mentioned how throughout the series he kept reminding his team, and I know this is a C9 point, but had kept reminding his team about the Zilean and the possibility of it. They forgot about it in the one game where it became relevant and it comes out. And it's a similar kind of thing that I feel like happens postseason after postseason with Bjergsen, is people get lulled into, oh, drafts without Zilean, and then when it actually matters, the Zilean does find its way in.
I'm also really curious to see how Red Side pans out today, right? Because in prior series, we've seen Red Side rising in a weird priority depending on, you know, whether you want to take the Zeri Sivir trade, what you want to do, that kind of stuff.
All right, 2 minutes to go until series time. I want to start to understand where y'all are going to throw your weight when it comes to the predictions. We've had it laid out for us. Obviously, Team Liquid, EG, one of them is missing, but they got to get through their first opponents to even earn that matchup. TSM, CLG, they want it just as badly.
Yeah.
I'm so curious to see if anyone is going to go CLG.
Let's find out.
Yeah, same.
Let's find out. Let's reveal. We've done what we always do. We've pulled
Wow! There's a split.
Whoa, that is more than I thought. I knew we would get a couple, but to get 5 out of 16 is actually a little more than I thought.
I knew we'd get it from Kobe, because he's got to stand by his CLG boys, right?
I mean, I love it. I love to see the faith. Notably, there's only 2 3-0s.
All of the play-by-plays are on the hype. All of the play-by-plays. Flowers, Pastry Time, and Phreak are here for the danger.
Don't play-by-plays just want to see the world burn?
Yes,
it
they
makes
do.
for a more exciting game anyway, right? So I think that they're always just rooting for whatever gives them the hypest, coolest calls.
I mean, I can see the world where CLG do pull it off.
Absolutely.
I'm personally on that boat, but I see the aggressiveness that they have, the fact that they can skill check Team Liquid early and go for these big roaming plays that get them big leads. We talked about the pressure that Team Liquid's facing. Like, if they get rocked game 1, like it's a much harder time for them to recover, I think, than CLG, who can just kind of shrug it off. So there are things working in CLG's favor, but
so
I just love the idea that it's like You're right. On brand, the play-by-plays are on the CLG side, and typical Yasuo going up against the odds.
For me, regular season versions of these teams are like 55-45, but because of Hansama stepping up in playoffs, I think it's just a little bit more TL favored. We'll find out soon enough, though. That's it for the waiting room. Let's get into our first day of this week's LCS postseason.
Hello and welcome to the LCS playoffs. At the end of the week, we're going to figure out who is the final team headed to championship weekend. Right now, CLG and Team Liquid are fighting for elimination. A battle on Saturday, and you win that one. You are Sunday, actually, and you're going to move on forward from there. Either way, it's going to be exciting. I'm here with Jatt and Kobe, 10 years of LCS. We've been casting it for all 10 years.
That's a whole lot. We're only missing Riv from the first season of the LCS.
Also, Team Liquid, CLG, 2 teams that were around into the first split of LCS as well, if you count TL as Curse.
Formerly Curse? I count it. I
Yeah.
count it, personally.
But also, just so much road ahead for these teams still if they want to win the LCS. Not only do they have to win this best of 5, they have to win 3 more additionally, so dropping down a loser's bracket makes their road back very long.
And that is the main goal of this Team Liquid roster. This roster was constructed to win the LCS, so that's where their eyes are towards, but you can't overlook these games. Let's take a look at the picks and bans so far, though. Sivir banned out. Okay, this puts a lot more pressure on the Zeri trade. Because the Zeri-Sivir trade is the predominant scaling AD carries trade. Bwipo giving them the look. Are they gonna ban it? Are they gonna?
Yeah. Mustaches have been dropped, and since then, Teal have lost best of 5. So, you know, that can always consider here. Looking also at Azir as one of the trades for Zeri. Last time these two teams met, CLG played themselves the Azir, and Palafox popped off on it.
This is really interesting, though, because in the 100 Thieves series, Hansama had Zeri in games 1 and 2 and got a grand total of 0 kills with her. So, really, the fact that they banned out the Zeri counter in Draven is saying, dude, pick Zeri. They refuse, and they're going with the Seraphine comp again.
And Yuumi is up as well. They could easily get the Zeri with the Yuumi, just one of the dream scaling bottom lanes. Seraphine has been the queen of the LCS playoffs, though, has dominated regardless of who has picked up the champion, and especially with Team Liquid, already showing their preference for these big healing and shielding comps that have big balls of power to just roll right at you.
And I will say, I can maybe even make a stat, make a call that, what if Seraphine is actually the new queen of the bot lane? Like, I know we're focusing on Zeri, and around the world, Zeri's been a really big deal, but, I mean, CLG have already played a couple of Seraphine games down there. Poome has played it alongside Senna, for example. We know Luger's played it herself as well, so they have 3 farm Senna games, or 3 farm Seraphine games already on CLG, and she is very good. If you figure out in the previous week, oh, Seraphine's the top pick, now she's first pick.
I would say you're just jumping one patch a little bit too early.
Yeah.
Zeri will get put in the dirt next patch.
Okay.
Zeri nerfs are over 4% nerfs on the next patch. 4% win rate, that is.
Yeah.
Because currently, though, still Zeri pentakill machine.
Sure.
So I do think the priority there is quite strong. But getting into the rest of it here, Sylas early picked, even with the Azir up for Palafox for the blind pick.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of these Seraphine compositions that we've seen 100 Thieves or Team Liquid or even CLG run, I think rely less on lane counter picks and more about just creating a very strong death ball. It's generally Seraphine, and then Swain is super good, Sylas is very good, Aatrox works very well. It's those brawly self-healers that Seraphine can put over the top.
The best use of this style of comp, though, that Team Liquid have already drafted here has been when the opponents already show that they are going dive, you know, like Vi or something, early pick like that, and then you can counter it. This one, though, for Team Liquid, they're just throwing it down right into the Zeri. Nautilus is always a very strong pick into Zeri. For the ultimate, you can point and click on her. And CLG ended up picking up exactly what we thought. The Zeri Yuumi, the most preferred scaling bottom lane here for them. So we shall see who comes out ahead. And put your theory to the test, Phreak.
Yeah.
How strong truly is the queen?
I want to see the rest of the comp. I am personally a huge Seraphine fan. If I can pick her, that's win rate. Like I'm gonna crush some games in that one. Personally prefer the Senna alongside because my primary support player is a really good Senna player, but regardless, still a good lane. Fiora off the table. Of course, CLG get counter pick for last pick. Mid laner, of course, they can get whatever they want right now. TL not betting anything else against Sylas. He is a pretty safe pick overall, but you can see they are going after Dhokla here as well. Yone was already the first one off the docket. CLG know they have a jungler to answer as well. Olaf, you mentioned self-healing Deathball champions. And there's Sinjao going to do something pretty similar.
Yeah, I think just trying to get rid of the good brawler junglers that Santorin would be able to play. I expect the Yone and the Trundle, those two bans we saw in the first three, to likely remain permabanned throughout the whole series. 100 Thieves had a permaban against Team Liquid in their series, and also CLG had Yone permabanned against them in Golden Guardians. Those things I don't think will change this entire time.
Team Liquid clearly here trying to ban out some carry top laners from Dhokla. The difference in the top laners up there, Bwipo much more well-rounded, willing to go for more frontline tankiest champions here to build in with this Seraphine Nautilus composition. Dhokla has had so much more success on carry top lane champions here. And so banning out both Fiora and Renekton, those aggressive looks.
And I believe those were both considered Aatrox counters as well. I'm thinking of the Deathball picks that you guys talked about. And again, Aatrox was mentioned by name as well as one of those options there. CLG take the Aatrox away. They said, this is what you're probably trying to set up here for Bwipo. But Bwipo, I mean, he's got answers usually.
And when we had revenge on the entire day for the previous Team Liquid series, he just kept repeating, Bwipo has nothing to deal with this Aatrox. It's a huge problem. Someday smashed Team Liquid with the Aatrox game after game after game, and CLG are trying to repeat that strategy.
He keeps trying though. He's got a number of picks that could go into it, but that's what looked to be a lot of indecision, cycling between a lot of picks that could have worked. Jax is not a matchup we see often in Aatrox.
And he had to dig deep, and nothing worked against 100 Thieves against Someday in the previous one, but Jax over here is a scaling split push threat here for Team Liquid. Another melee champ to get in there. Big melee ball with Seraphine.
Statistically from solo queue, a relatively flat matchup. So as you mentioned, Jax outscales, because in every matchup, Jax outscales, I'm pretty sure. But relatively flat. In other ones, we'd seen solo queue data indicating it was a self-counter pick. This one, again, relatively flat. Vi comes through as more aggressive answers. Again, another
dive, baby!
Woo! Yeah.
Team Liquid train is going straight to the back line.
Galio getting picked at the end, though, is super interesting. So Team Liquid is a death ball with 4 melees. And what CLG has actually done is they picked a bunch of champions that are very good against melees. Zeri, Yuumi can kite almost infinitely. And then Galio, Aatrox, and Wukong all work very well in small spaces. So I think CLG has done their best to try and counter what TL wants to do.
Yeah, it's very difficult to kite a Vi ultimate on you and a Nautilus ultimate on you.
So just Galio ult and send everybody else in.
Exactly. Get some AoE, some disengage for your team, some counter engage, and let's put it to the test. First game here, CLG, Palafox specifically had his interview talking about the big names in the league are overrated.
Yeah.
These players of the past, time to make room for the new ones.
The All-Pro voting this split was 4 Team Liquid in the top 3, 0 for CLG, despite being 1 game apart, meeting right here, 1 seed apart in the lower bracket of playoffs. CLG hoping to play to the level of their opponents. Every single CLG series has been an absolute banger. I know the fans are hoping for it yet again here. Team Liquid, their hopes at the start of the year were to crush the entire league, to win the LCS and be #1, and that road starts again right here.
Now that we're into game, I want to point out how I think CLG is going back to their roots a little bit in terms of heavily counter-picking draft. When they played that series against Golden Guardians, I thought they played a little too conservatively, picking late-game team fighting, scaling stuff. This is a much different look by CLG, and I like it.
And if you're talking about the roots of where they first started to find success with this roster, it was with Palafox roaming mid lane champions and going to camp for bottom lane. You know, Luger, this big carry they could rely on at the very beginning, and Palafox was always just spamming Talia, Twisted Fate, Galio, these roaming mid lane champions. So it truly is back to those roots of success.
And as well, a lot of eyes on Contractz in the jungle, who has stepped up a ton, and Santorin is going to share some thoughts on FTX's most improved player and opponent, Contractz.
Well, I think everyone knows that Contractz, he does flip games a lot, and he does go for like very cheesy stuff and things that, you know, sometimes shouldn't work, but it works. I think he's always been that kind of player that does go for the risky things, and that also makes him more unpredictable, and that's also something that you have to watch out for. I remember one game we played against him this season, actually, where he, took my blue and went straight to wolves and started doing my wolves. And, in my head, it's very, very risky doing that, so I was checking my gromp first, but he actually did the wolves, which most people I don't think would do it, but he did it, and it paid off heavily because it's just kind of unexpected for him to go the extra mile, I guess. So it's something to be aware of.
And you can see Team Liquid really trying to prepare for any Contractz cheese. 3 early wards already on this part of the map, so definitely wanting to track Contractz early on.
What's funny is there is a route still where he could jump over the back of the Baron pit and get in.
And they also haven't even seen him yet with all those wards.
So try as you might. Bottom lane though, flash level 2.
Ain't gonna land. Level 2, level 1 is a lot of damage to it in place. The cleanse was hella late from Luger. 200 HP left. He'll be okay, but that is Summoner down.
Your Northern California is showing through, baby. I love it. CoreJJ going and forcing the Summoner spell trade though. Cleanse and exhaust from CLG. A little bit of the defenses there.
Yeah, 2 for 2. Is not a terrible thing, especially when you're able to lifesteal back a little bit and have the sustain of Yuumi. Going back to the jungle a little bit, just stylistically, I do feel like Santorin should be pretty good against Contractz because he thinks so much about what could go wrong. So Contractz almost has to be extra random in order to get those advantages, which would hurt his efficiency. And what's actually really interesting about this start by Contractz is he's just doing a full clear. It doesn't seem like crazy tech, but for Contractz it kind of is. They've had their first blood basically at 3 minutes in every game of playoffs so far. It's impossible for that to happen with Contractz doing this clear.
Yeah, and number one thing as a jungler, is to not be predictable. So do not follow your own trends.
Yeah,
is the name of the game. Wukong also is one of the jungle champions with some of the greatest rewards for getting to your level 6. Huge kill pressure once you get to your level 6. Wukong always, trying to focus a bit on experience. As well, I kind of want to move the spotlight towards the mid lane since there was so much setting up between Palafox and Bjergsen. And the mid lane difference was the difference in the last matchup these two teams had in the regular season. Palafox had the Azir. He had huge Azir sweeps. Never mind, we're going to get gank on top, though.
Looking for it right now. Pullock will not land on a Jack. Sun's going to land Q easily as well. Ignite is already there. Flash follow. Need one more hit, though. He's going to hold aggro. Bwipo goes in. He needs another hit, though. You gotta be kidding me! Grabs first blood, and he wants another, but can Soren get away? Next Q is up relatively soon. Yoink! Double kill!
Oh my God! Team Liquid want that one back immediately. They want that one back right now. They wish they could rewind the clock on that one. Oh my God! Big Dokes with the well.
Scheduled tweet, by the way.
Scheduled.
He's in a matchup against an Ignite Jax. In order to get late game split push pressure, Dhokla just walks it out on that gank, able to run Santorin down on the back end. This is the dream start for CLG.
Yeah, to have a 2v1, you're talking about jungle perspective. You're like, oh, I see my top laner get 2 kills when he's getting dove. Bwipo jumps in, Qs,
it's just
one auto.
Damage. He gets all the autos. He right-clicked to get back into range, but because Dhokla's path blocking, his champion walks downwards, which I understand.
Oh
That's how the game's coded. But it means he doesn't stay in auto attack range.
And what it means for the game is now you have a massive, massive pressure point on top lane. Aatrox with accelerated level 6. You have so much pressure here. He can constantly push in for CLG. And what this does for the comp overall is allow Palafox on this Galio the freedom to go for aggressive Galio ults on Contractz. You see Contractz already invading the Vi.
Galio's 6. Aatrox is 6. Santorin can't take his own grump. He's pushed completely out of his jungle and now just has to sit in this bush to defend against a dive.
Huge, huge ramifications all off of a top dive. 2 for 1. CLG here taking away pretty much all of the jungle as CoreJJ on the support roam timer is found out.
And good restraint there by CLG. I definitely see a CLG from even a month ago tries to set up that 3-person dive right away. CoreJJ made that read, but they've seen CoreJJ on that control ward. They're
about to get caught though.
Yeah. Oh, one actually grabbed it, pulls him out of the E as well. So the taunt's gonna buy some time. A flash forced out, but Bjergsen has second Wukong ulti. Anchor's still down for a while, but it doesn't matter. The rest of the squad is here. Good to kill back in the board.
Good pick there. CoreJJ lands the hook. The support roam timer, even though they found him, they saw him on the Spire's Bloom. They knew CoreJJ was on a timer on top lane, and CLG get lazy. They go for the ward kill, even with a support deficit there.
I think just thinking they had the ways of getting out no matter what. I mean, Wukong can clone to get rid of an anchor. Yeah, good damage here. Luger, though, is by the wall. Yeah, I assume it's CLG thought they were safe, right? They both have dash to safety, but it was a good interaction with the hook now, so now...
No flash on Dhokla, but he should be fine.
Yeah.
Bjergsen knows, too, that there is still a Galio ultimate to be used. And I want to bring it back again, because Galio ultimate right now, this is the big point for CLG, trying to play off of these mid roams that he can try and get. Bjergsen picking on the blind pick Sylas here really left it open for Palafox, for CLG to have this turning point. And the other thing I wanted to hit on when Revenge was on the desk with us during that series with Team Liquid, and Bjergsen picking the Sylas in the 100 Thieves series as well, he specifically called out Palafox as being a much better melee mid-champion player, Sylas player, than Bjergsen, and thought Bjergsen did not look comfortable on that Sylas. See if he can actually make some changes here in this series, though. Farming just fine for himself.
Yeah, doing okay. I actually kind of like this lane assignment as well. We already see steel caps through on the Aatrox. You're assuming both Galio and Aatrox are running their respective stat shards as well for the opponent lanes. It's like, well, we're going to put physical damage up against Galio and magic damage against Aatrox. Have fun with that one. I actually like this quite a lot. You see this a lot more maybe 5 years ago where you'd like repeatedly lane swap around to kind of dodge defensive buys. But right now, seeing Herald being started.
TL must feel very strong. They've gotten a lot of damage on that Herald already, but Contractz is over the wall with ultimate. Palafox
they're going.
This is a fight.
Ulti is in already. He's gonna get nothing out of the Galio. Needs some help though. Gets a taunt maybe. Gonna find the reinforcements, and there's the combo. CC coming over CC. Trying to kill off Bjergsen. It's gonna be enough. Just too tanky here. And now Bwipo forced to run away.
Team Liquid roam their bottom lane too. Look at the bottom lane now. Zeri can free push into this tower, and CLG won the fight around Herald. This is really bad for Team Liquid. They're going to lose the kills. They're gonna lose the minion waves. They're losing control of the map.
Galio's just too tanky. I mean, I understand what Team Liquid thought. Soon as Wukong comes in over the pit, just go strong on one side. They dump everything on him, and he still has 50% of his health.
And they're still looking for him, waiting in this brush.
Yeah, flash to get the anchor. Oh, he sidestepped. He can hit that. That would be enough, though. That's going to be so much damage. Core will stay alive. The charm won't matter at all. Hansama has to know that fight was already over.
Yeah, Contract's still around, so Team Liquid going to have to give respect there. Big Dokes on the top side after the 2 kills here, working out.
Level advantage.
Basically a turret plate as well. Contractz after that Scuttle Crab though. CLG now, look at the swaps here. Jack's on bottom side. It is still pre-unleashed teleport. So they're assuming Bwipo not going to come to this one. He could teleport to a tower, but would have to walk himself out. There's no Galio ultimate for CLG, but they get the Rift Herald regardless.
Yeah, this is going to be a huge test, going back to Draft Phreak, of how powerful are these Seraphine comps?
Sure.
Because Team Liquid is rapidly falling further behind.
Yeah, exactly. And I think the opening here is for sure coming down to so much execution in these plays. And CLG executing on so many of these skirmishes, Team Liquid, they're going to have to find something to bail them out. That ball comp.
Yep.
And they can group up later. That is going to be on at least one item for Seraphine first before they can try and pull this together. Palafox waiting on his next Galio ultimate. And the kills, more kills going into Dhokla, getting the third one there onto Bjergsen off of the little skirmish too. Just, again, really sets up a big power point for CLG to constantly have a pushing side lane and causing Team Liquid to make some interesting lane assignment swaps.
Yeah, and it feels like Team Liquid actually has a lot of tempo in this game to move around. It feels like CoreJJ has spent most of the game like roaming or waiting in a bush, but Seraphine isn't necessarily behind Luger, so it's more of a testament to how important those kills by Dhokla were, because now CLG is starting to hit some, will be soon hitting some item breakpoints, and they can start making plays of their own.
First Drake still available right now. CLG with their dual lane back down there, safe in a similar spot. Not, of course, their strong point, right? The Aatrox is pretty much the gold lead right now, but on someone pushing to the tower means they do have bot lane control for a moment. Wukong starts up the Drake. CoreJJ is around. Will it matter? Vi still finishing up Krugs. Bjergsen, maybe first move down. We got pings going. Who looks like TL? Where this could be a play.
Yeah, first move doesn't really matter against Galio ultimate, though. He could just pop it.
Aatrox has moved as well. So they're going for a steal. If anything, they'd lose the fight, I think.
And now it's going to be grabbed. Make sure the Q lands first. Seraphine damage was coming through.
Yeah, critically, Dhokla showed mid lane, and that meant TL definitely didn't want to go for that play.
And Dhokla does have teleport, too. He could teleport to the tower, but he's walking back up.
This feels pretty playable. As long as they're ready for it, Charm's going to land on everybody, but it gets cleansed. Can they keep him alive for now? No, Contractz goes down. Will they get another one back, though, is the question, because Galio's on the play. Santorin getting chased, gets a heal. Can he get out in time? He cannot. Luger able to chase him down 1-for-1. Slow won't matter, but Bjergsen's around. Zeri ulti, not the most useful, I feel like. No. It's fine. Whatever. They'll run around real quick.
Yeah, run right back to lane and farm that sucker up. Top laner stayed up there, by the way, evening up a little bit of the minion wave there. So Dhokla got back in time, just walked his way up, keeps his teleport cooldown for the next play. Here's another look at it. You put together the hard dive with the counter dive, and the hard dive barely ekes out the kill in time here, and it just traded back 1-for-1 on junglers. So not a really big change in game state.
Yeah, definitely not. And it's going to be a bit of a struggle here for Team Liquid. They perfectly chained that CC on Contractz so he could only have about a split second to press his W at the end. Doesn't even get his ultimate off, and still trading the 1-for-1 when it definitely felt like they were the ones that were setting that trap. So CLG able to fight back a lot, and we'll get the majority of this turret. If not, okay, just the majority of the turret with this Herald.
Yep, turret plates acquired.
Love to find pressure on the fourth one, but it goes down pretty quickly, and Dhokla does not feel like he can keep taking those hits, and not sure if he actually got the any semblance of that fourth plate himself, but ooh, an over-the-wall play? Maybe.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure CLG saw them on the ward that is towards mid right now, so we got blue pings coming out.
And will it happen? Vi ulti, though, is up. Looks for the Q. Dhokla going to be hit. Blue flying for a bit more as well. Will he ult for anything more? Does not feel like he has the damage. Dhokla tanking up.
Oh
the ult
my
he gets the
God.
back. Q3. Force the flash away, and Jax just has nothing to him, honestly. Maybe again, though, Vi goes back in for the ult. The 2v1 is enough as Santorin claims a 600 gold shutdown.
Team Liquid, they actually get revenge. They're like, not this time. You're not 2v1ing us. Santorin flashes away and gives them the opening to go back under tower. So they finally do take down Big Dokes. They get that gold bounty. That is something Team Liquid needed to start chipping away at this lead and getting back in the game.
Pretty crucial mistake there by Dhokla. That bounty is very important, and he'd already bought them so much time just by getting that initial chunk on Santorin. But I can't necessarily fault him for that because he's trying to make those big plays. Hansama has to burn flash.
Gets away with it. It's going to be a 5-minute long cooldown for him. You can see Kempuk Chainsword right away for Santorin. He's against 4 healers in the team. Zeri shield, though, Mythics for the top lane 2-0, and of course Yuumi there as well. So pretty valuable there. I think it's good to identify someone against a comp like this. Like, someone's got to go hard for it early on. I think Hansama wants better power spikes than an Oblivion Orb.
So who's going to do it for CLG? Because this was a big deal against the Seraphine comps we saw last weekend. Sometimes you just don't have the player who can do it. Yuumi has a great anti-heal item, but it's going to come in fairly late. So I wonder if they'll go for something earlier, and if Contractz will also go for the Chain Sword as a second item.
Yeah, I like Putrefire. I think it's just like the play you go for.
It's
you
the
just
best
call it
healing
out.
reduction item.
Yep, like you heal someone, their damage will apply massive grievous wounds, and honestly, it's not that hard for you to put a heal on someone relevant and go on from there. So top lane turret though going to fall. CLG will finally get the first turret kill of the game. Several are very low, I want to point out, across the map. But first one to fall, gold will go back up to 1,000. It was still a pretty close game. 70 seconds until the second Drake of the game spawns. Decent pace towards a soul if CLG wants to play for it. Another Aatrox gets another surge of money. Might see him recall and play for it.
The other benefit here for Team Liquid with drafting such a hard dive comp is that with the towers going down on outside, you can see Bwipo there, Jatt, just farming the side lane with his down tower deep in Team Liquid territory while they've got the 1-3 ongoing, because you've got the threat of a Vi always, you know, coming over. If anyone overextends other half of the map, you have that instant lockdown. And Galio shows bottom here for Palafox to clean up the minions here in front of Bjergsen.
Yeah. Want to see if CLG keep playing aggressively. You mentioned it earlier on when it was the first level 6 Contractz aggressively counter jungling caught by the Galio.
Away.
Now a play to the top side. Galio coming in right away. Jumping to safety. No Seraphine ulti for now. Zeri hitting on the sides. Will it be enough? They can just kill Santorin. The man's just too quick against the entire squad. And it's now Bwipo forced to run away. CoreJJ the same. Whoa. Jumping over the wall is Luger. Has his own Galio. He's going to be fine for now. Hansama will drop. The chase still in toward Core. The flash taunt catches one. And it's a flash forced out of Bjergsen. 5 seconds on the Drake, and they're still chasing for more. He's fast. He's got a Yuumi, and he's got a kill on to Bjergsen. CLG are 8-3,
and they're gonna get their dragon. They're gonna get the mid lane tower. CLG are taking it to Team Liquid so hard in game number 1. That was a straight up 4 versus 5 fight, and CLG bursted down Santorin. It was a stolen Galio ultimate coming in.
I think we're seeing a little bit of the team comp design from CLG though. Just like Vi jumps in, and how do they follow through the Yuumi successfully as 4 melee champions? Galio's not even there. Luger doesn't even have more than a shield bow at this point, and he's already shredding Team Liquid. This team composition and game 1 play by CLG is very strong.
Exactly. That's why we talked about from Champion Select, the power of that counter dive. Palafox, once he does get into range 2, they can chase down the rest of the Team Liquid members. Bjergsen not safe either. Everyone knows the pain of trying to run away from a Zeri Yuumi late game. It is basically impossible. Woo! Jumping over the walls.
Zeri damage.
Team Liquid do
watch out.
Get Rift Held number 2.
Dhokla 2 gets away from every chain there. As you tried, but no, I walked in a straight direction.
And we've got an invading Yuumi. Poome. The Yuumi invade.
Who wins? On red buff. I think Poome got this.
He's got teammates. It's a team game. Poome versus Bramble back.
Kind of close. All right, puts the heal back up. Luger bails him out. Saves his lane mate from the evil red buff.
I mean, they could get a lot of damage down onto Bwipo here. Remember, he's a flashless Jax.
Over the wall they go. They're going to get through it at the end of it, so the Q's going to keep landing. The autos, Turk get in the way, but the Wukong there for the knockup, and the kill comes through in the end. Another one on the board, 9-3.
Okay, there is going to be a counterplay for an objective bounty on top side. They're going to use the Rift Herald up there by Bjergsen to try and get objective bounty shut down for Team Liquid. Should be able to get it, but the payment still losing out on the bottom side, losing out on the extra kill here. CLG pushing this game forward, and you can see it in their vision line too. All of this, the invade from Poome, comical but successful. Look at all the wards moving up. They get the red buff, they get the jump onto Bwipo.
And Team Liquid is definitely just trying to make something happen because they're not in the good position in this game. So lots of just waiting in a bush and hoping to pick Dhokla.
I like this.
That's kind of been the strategy of the whole game.
What did Dhokla do to Team Liquid?
2v1 to their top side. Exactly, thank you. The crowd understands. Anchored? You gotta be kidding me! CoreJJ just whiffs an easy skill shot.
I mean, they might turn this.
By the way, Galio is here! They did it, buddy! A 3-for-0, and CLG will not be stopped!
Team Liquid, they're too transparent. They open up first 3 picks of draft. Heavy dive. Contractz, whoa! It's not done!
1v2, he's like, don't do it! Let me try as well, Bwipo! Again in the losing end of a fight, 13-3. Baron spawns now.
CLG is just too damn strong. Team Liquid is waiting in the bush for what? Their own demise? It seems like they cannot win any fight.
Palafox said the big names of the LCS are overrated. It's time for the new generation to rise up, and CLG are making it happen here in the lower bracket. This is an elimination series of playoffs. Team Liquid gonna have to turn it around because you already got to start looking at the next game. This is an engage, like you said, it's getting desperate trying to pick off Dhokla here, but with Galio, it's such a super strong counter pick here and for the counter engage.
They did not get Aatrox's health below 2,000. Like, they maybe did 200 damage to him in the entirety of that fight.
I mean, every CC was overlapped. Like, Anchor misses, okay, sure, but the Vi ult is overlapped with Nautilus ult. Like, they just both press R. It's like, even the coordination was bad there. Like, okay, Core misses skill shot. It happens, he's human, whatever. But, like, someone just call I'm pressing R first and wait. But he's just like, okay, I got stunned for exactly 1.2 seconds. Cool. My cooldowns are up, and just nothing happens.
I really like how this game is a combination of CLG's roots of success and the way that they've grown in the LCS.
Yeah.
We talked about the roots at the beginning of the game. You know, Luger, bottom lane carry, Palafox constantly robing. But this is that combined with Big Dokes. Difference on top side, and Bjergsen is far from in the middle of nowhere.
Quick slow onto him, and they're not going to get slow to Luger, but they might get the rest of it now. Goes to the chain, goes for a whole bunch of damage, but it's not going to be enough. Get a couple hundred health down, but he had the shield bow still. Wasn't in danger. And now they're onto the Baron here without a mid laner from TL.
Bjergsen just trying to make something happen, but it looks like CLG should be able to take this Baron.
Santorin's got a dream.
Something.
Santorin's got a dream for his steal. He's sneaking around here. Vi's looking for it. He's unseen.
Dokla's looking. They find him fine with the blue trinket. Where else could he be? Top try. They spotted the notes going on. Dokla knows what wall he has to go over. Sees him yet again, and it's not going to be likely. Blocks the Q. No other way over the wall, so it's going to be a smite. Should be contestable.
Careful, though.
Just over one.
That's fine. It's fine.
Everyone's out of range.
I don't think you need to be careful anymore. That's not in the CLG handbook either.
No. And Kobe, to go back to your point earlier, as Bwipo will pick up an objective bounty, when the split started, CLG was the one drafting Seraphine, and a lot of us were questioning whether or not that CLG had improved or if they're just exploiting an overpowered champion. Oh, it's just a Seraphine comp. But this game especially, with how Seraphine has shown to still do well in playoffs, they are absolutely destroying TL Seraphine comp.
Yeah, I think it's the difference between Team Liquid had success when they picked this basically exact type of composition versus a first pick vibe, because then you know your opponents are kind of locked into this all dive. But CLG, they save their picks. They have counter with the Galio. Great last pick there. Smart draft here from CLG to get that counter initiation and has really just thrown Team Liquid through a loop. It's kind of the same thread because you mentioned CLG being early to jump on the Seraphine, yet again, they're early and proactive with some of these champion picks and getting more and more diverse and coming up with different looks.
And on the other side of it, when you're the first to play Seraphine, you're also going to be more experienced with what it doesn't work against and what you're going to be able to struggle with. So really like what they've done here in game 1 to likely take the series lead.
Pretty good here. 9,000 gold for the bounty claimed. Good by TL to constantly cross-map and get some bit of gold back in. It'd be a far worse game without that. So at least still trying for the plays. They just cannot kill the tanky members of CLG. Every single one has a defensive item on their inventory or a Yuumi over the top to make sure it doesn't happen. Only 3 kills on. 40 bottom inhibitor is down, 4 minutes and 20 away from the Dragon Soul.
Yeah, this is a blazing pace that CLG are setting in game number 1. It's 24 minutes. They're already knocking at the Nexus turret doors here, demolishing the base of Team Liquid. They're wasting no time. Completely outplayed this game.
There should be a bit of a sense of urgency for CLG. You never know how strong a Seraphine comp can get, specifically the Seraphine Senna comps. When you look at the gold graphs for those games, about 25 minutes is when they just started to take over. That's when the gold graph would hit a cliff. This seems a little bit more than that, but it should be in the back of your head.
Okay, I'm gonna keep it way far at the back of the head right now.
So you want to just go to the next game, Kobe?
No.
Is it over?
No, that's ridiculous. We've still got Dragon Soul to play for, but this is such a commanding position, and because you have the tools to push it forward. You're the ones, as CLG, with the Zeri Yuumi on your team. So, also in the back of your head, you have supreme security.
You feel it. Right now, Palafox happy to the side lane. Got a Banshee, he's got a 10-stack Magi, he's on the way towards the zone. He is now in a 1 versus 3, going for the big play. This time, he doesn't have a global. Nice timing on the stopwatch to get rid of the ulti. Whoa. And the Q happens to land anyway, as over the wall goes Palafox. Couple Galio ults coming around. They might kill him. They finally do a shutdown for Bjergsen. Charm gonna go wide. But the team fight is a good 4v5. CLG gonna try their best. Bjergsen running away over the wall. Gonna stay alive for now. Luger cleanses away a root. Now looking at Bwipo. Not terribly tanky. Stoppage to the front line. Can they get that kill? But down goes Contractz. They might kill him off. 2 for the Aatrox. And a 3rd down for Contractz. And the damage just isn't quite there. TL run out of damage. And CLG opt into the 4v5 and avenges the fallen mid laner.
It's a good attempt by Team Liquid because they know time is against them. They've got super minions on the doorstep, but they take a swing and they miss. CLG will punish.
What an opening performance by CLG. 2 games away from eliminating Team Liquid.
Looking at the next couple of bits of this base, gonna knock him down. A 26-minute victory. There you go, CLG starting off strong.
Okay, game number 1, amazing job CLG, both in draft and execution. Yeah. It's not one of these things isolated, it is both combined.
Yes.
I will draw it back a bit. This is a best-of-5 series. This is
already over, Kobe.
This is just the first game in your best-of-5 series. And remember FlyQuest.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, Team Liquid now 0 for 3 in the opening games of their best-of-5s this playoffs. They dropped the first 2 to 100 Thieves before winning the next 2. Definitely some concerned looks, though, with the way that played out. And when I was looking at CLG right after the game, I loved how calm they were. This is no surprise to them that they were able to take the first one off of TL.
Exactly. And they weren't overly celebrating it because, like we said, it's a best-of-5. You've got way more work to do.
Yeah. And it's about draft adaptation, right? In my mind, I just see Twitch chat, B_N__TROX. That's going to be all the comments on Reddit as well. Like, it is another game where Bwipo cannot handle that lane. 2v1, double kill for the Aatrox. Like, I'm not saying the man can't play, but like, it just keeps happening. At a certain point, override and be like, sorry, bro, we haven't found it working. Evidence game number 5.
Yeah. Also, they just failed the 2v1 dive.
Of course they did. But I'm just saying, it just keeps happening, right? Like, you keep trying to find answers, and it keeps failing, and you feel like, no, it was really just mechanics. Like, do you want to go down 0-2 and screw it up again? Because, I mean, maybe it works, right?
No,
but like,
we've got a whole other series.
I know.
That we have as evidence and proof for it.
So sometimes you just do that one little thing, like, you know what, never mind Seraphine comps. We need to rethink them. You know, there's a whole lot that can change, right? As you said, it was draft and execution. CLG, of course, played very, very well. We'll see what Game 2 has in store. So CLG up in the series, and we are heading over to the State Farm Analyst Desk.
Thank you very much, Phreak. CLG. Woo! Hot start to the best-of-5, getting the win over Team Liquid there. I honestly don't know how much or what all we can say about this, Emily. I mean, Kobe kind of said it there. They failed the dive. They failed the dive.
Obviously, he brought up what Revenge thought of some of Bwipo's answers into that Aatrox, specifically the Urgot from their prior series. I want to talk about CLG's draft, right? Because we have some classics from TL that I pointed out before in the Seraphine Nautilus. Seraphine getting huge priority here. But you know, on the opposite side, we have Zeri, Yuumi, Wukong as the first rotation, which is great. I love the Galio pick. Like, obviously, they're super comfortable with the Aatrox, but the Galio pick is really what makes this draft for me.
I love it. The last pick, Galio, not only stuffs a lot of, like, both end up being ball comps, but one has, like, the kind of bomb of Zeri in your back pocket. So you need to kill her. And so that's where the Galio pick's able to come in. The Wukong can also provide peeling. Like, there's so many extra tools to kind of deal with TL's idea.
Rez, you know what we talked about? Like, the last thing a Vi wants to do is ult into a fight where there's a Swain with a giant circle around him.
Oh, yeah?
There's a couple other champions in the game that have big old circles.
A lot of circles.
One of those is Galio.
True. Quadruple melee comp into Galio Aatrox.
Feels good, man.
It's beautiful, right? So, like, I agree. I feel like Demonte in the back is just, like, excellent. Galio.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's true. Demonte's in the back there.
This is what I'm here for.
But you know what feels even better is when the Galio side lane partner gets a double kill out of nowhere. Like, this was a good idea for Team Liquid. You have this counter pick. You want to start snowballing it up in the top side. The misclick, or I guess not even really misclick, but the auto pathing to screw over Bwipo there, giving the first kill, and then the chase down by Dhokla.
Not bad.
And we talked about, this is actually a late, there we go. They don't know.
They didn't know. They didn't know,
They didn't know. TL did not know.
And TL did actually make a point to track Contractz, right? They're like, where is he going to show up? You know, like, where is this first blood coming from? And then it ends up going to CLG anyway because of this botch data.
That's a good point. Normally, we would be tracking Contractz for that 3-minute, you know, or 3:25
this
first
was
blood.
late. It was like 4.
Totally unnecessary for him this time around.
I feel like the Monkasteer under the turret when you're trying not to die.
It was too good. I mean, so again, I don't want to belabor the game too much, as we will play out a few more of the highlights and kind of watch it all come together for CLG. Obviously, with that lead, they still have to put it together, and I think they just found a lot of good skirmishes and fights where the Galio is making the appearance, Raz, to kind of turn the tables.
Yeah, I honestly think they've forgotten just about, like, the Galio and the reach that he has. It's the TF effect, where you're just like, when you play against him for the first time in a long time, you're like, oh, this is not a legal fight. This is not legal.
So many hooks.
Yeah.
This is another example of it. But to be fair, they were so far behind that they were looking for any avenue. But the one thing Galio is great at, side lane responses.
Yep, yeah, and that plays into what we've talked about Palafox's strengths are, right? Is joining up with the team from a side lane. It wasn't as early on as we've been seeing where it's like push the wave and then go to side lanes, but he was always ready to join with his team, and most importantly, the Zeri is untouched. She's just free hitting in so many of these fights.
I mean, CLG is also just like team identity-wise, we're talking about how aggressive they are. When they get an advantage, like a double kill on a side lane like that, they're probably one of the best teams in the league about just running that down your throat. They do not ever let off the gas pedal. And so when they get that advantage, they're down to take 50-50s and just keep going. Like that one bot lane play where it's 1-for-1, like not the best play, but like CLG is never going to back away from that. And so when you already have the gold lead and this kind of comp lead that we think they have, it's just like you can play these fights however you want. They're never going to not take them.
Absolutely. There is no free fight when you're going up against CLG. The Rift Herald fight for me was a real tapper, where 3 of them tried to just go straight on towards the Galio, realized, oh, we don't have the damage for him, and in fact, it's actually, we set him up perfectly for a 3-man taunt. So really bad start to the series, clearly for TL, and they have to reapproach the draft again.
And it was so important that CLG had that aggression in this game, right? Because we've talked about these Seraphine comps, and one of the reasons that TL has kind of swapped over to the Seraphine hype train is because they've lost to it twice now against 100 Thieves, where 100 Thieves just had these Seraphine Senna scaling comps that flopped into their direction even after TL was able to amass these really crucial leads. So it's also nice to see CLG be able to play it out so they can slam the door before Seraphine can kind of take over with healing.
Now, Mark, I don't want to overreact to this game because, as Raz said, it kind of felt clear that at a certain point in it, TL was like, look, we're going to camp the bush, we're going to shoot the shot, maybe we get the comeback. If not, we go next fast. But CLG, I think, is going to 3-0 at this point.
Yeah, you're flip-flopping already.
Hard flip-flopping. 3-0 CLG.
Say that again.
That's it. They're
Say
done.
that again, guys.
The
graphic.
We're going to make it official, though. So, you know, erase that TL 3-1. That's going to turn into a CLG 3-0. You don't recover from that current type.
Mark.
We set all the stakes, Mark. All the stakes about the expectation and how anything is going to be a failure. You can't start the series that way.
You gave me shit for flip-flopping the FlyQuest TSM
I'm
series.
saying I have Team Liquid 3-1 exactly because I expected this game 1. You heard Jack talking about it. What else do you think Team Liquid's going to do but get smurfed on game 1? That's what they did against FlyQuest. They bounced back just fine. They did against 100 Thieves. Couldn't win game 5, but still recovered, nearly reverse swept them. This is the Team Liquid comfort zone.
So this is all to plan.
The 0-1 comfort.
Yeah, this
all
is.
right.
That's
then
why.
Mark,
Did you see CoreJJ massaging Bwipo's back? He was like, "Hey, great job giving the double kill. We're just what we needed."
Help me out, Mark. Help me out.
I don't think Bwipo was comfortable.
If this is all going to plan, TL's chosen red. Tell me how they come back here in game number 2 to get to that 3-1 you're talking about from red side.
Okay, so on a serious angle, the red side swap I don't love. This is also what EG did when they lost game 1 on blue side to C9. And then it felt like they kind of overcorrected their draft prep and were like, wow, we need better counter picks or something because they got counter picked that one time. So I'm not sure I love the red side change. I just think the early pick Vi is something we keep talking about and teams have.
Well, it wasn't even early that time, which is actually what's crazy.
4,
I mean,
5,
yes, we've been
5,
criticizing that hard, and I still think Vi is being taken too much. But Emily, thoughts, red side?
The really interesting thing to me is kind of piggybacking off of Mark's point. I would love it for CLG, right? Because we've seen them have these really good like red side drafts. I did point out a good TL red side draft, which had the Senna Seraphine in it previously, but it was into that first pick Vi. So in that case, they were the ones responding. I'm a little curious to see where they'll go because I definitely think of more like 100 Thieves and CLG as red side teams more than TL.
So I think I think Team Liquid actually will do well from this change. Not only is it a lot more stabilizing, so you don't have to deal with that pick and 5, the Galio, but another thing too is that I think the meta has been changing a little bit, at least throughout the playoffs, and that you don't need a Zeri first pick, especially if you have Hansama in your back pocket, you can go towards Draven. I know the Kalista was banned, but if you have it open, then you can actually pick that as well. If you are trading, then you can hopefully get your pick of the litter. If they're not first picking the Lulu, you can do that yourself. So I think the responses are actually much better if they are playing towards Hansama's strength.
I'm actually super curious to see if the Draven or Kalista come out because we know that Luger also plays them.
Yeah, I think that's cool that both AD carries can swap to the more aggressive playstyle. I will tweak what I said a little bit because CLG is, at least in the regular season, a red side team. They won more games on red side than blue, and so it might be less
just
like
playing to your opponent's weakness.
Yeah, like put them on blue side, force them to blind some things, and still getting rid of the flex picks like the Yone, which is always getting banned against them.
And yeah, those 2 points, yours and Raz, like coupling the idea of like not getting surprised, right? At least on red side, we know we can't be surprised by that final pick. Maybe that's their way of creating some assurances.
Yeah, some of the flexes that they've gone throughout the split, having the Yone, the Akali, good example is when they went up against Cloud9 in the regular season and they had to put the Yone somewhere. They put it top, Tryndamere is the counter for Fudge, so the flexes will lose value from red side, so I'm interested in seeing what they got.
CLG strikes first blood. Our underdogs have taken the lead. Let's see if CLG can keep their momentum going in game number 2 right after this.
Don't make it too hot, Brad. You're gonna make me angry.
Yeah.
You don't want to see Christian
I love
angry.
that much.
Forward now, Palafox will not land on a Jack. Sun's going to land Q easily as well. Ignite is already there. Flash follow. Needs one more hit, though. He's going to hold aggro. Bwipo goes in. He needs another hit. You gotta be kidding me! Whoa! Jumping over the wall is Luger. Has his own Galio. He's going to be fine for now. Hansama will drop. The chase still in toward Core. The flash talk hit is one, and it's a flash forced out of Bjergsen.
And they're gonna get their dragon, they're gonna get the mid lane tower. CLG are taking it to Team Liquid so hard.
Upgrade your shimmering slippers to keep sparkling.
Hey, Ash, what's your plan?
A new and very serious game, Jake from State Farm, but these in-game purchases are wrecking my wallet. I can't keep sparkling, Jake. I need a sparkle.
State Farm has options like combining home and auto, so you get a rate that fits your budget.
Very nice. The gameplay is really strategic, I swear.
For surprisingly great rates that fit any budget, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Call or click to get a quote today.